morning and welcome to today's live broadcast. I'm Caroline Flanagan. I am a certified coach, for those of you who don't know me, certified coach specializing in imposter syndrome, helping you to turn your imposter syndrome into a strength. I'm also a keynote speaker. I'm the author of 2 books, including Be the First, very much about imposter syndrome. And I am the host of the Caroline Flanagan podcast. So I want to just take a minute to shout out to all of you who either subscribe on different platforms or listen to me in various different ways. So if you're on the podcast, hello, thank you for being one of my loyal, faithful listeners. If you're new, welcome. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's brilliant to have you. Thank you very much for joining me today or on the replay. Don't forget, if you haven't already, you can subscribe. So you can subscribe on YouTube, you can subscribe to the podcast. And of course, if you're on Facebook, you can join the Facebook imposter syndrome community that I have set up there, where this goes live every Monday. So a very warm, like literally warm welcome to you this evening from where I am, which is Portugal. I am in Lisbon, which is super exciting. If you follow me on social, you'll have seen I've been here this weekend celebrating my wedding anniversary. I've been married to Paul for amazingly 17 years. I can't quite believe it. And it's, we always celebrate, think it's an achievement every year to stay married and be happily married. So it is a great excuse to do something fun. Now, as you probably know, if you're listening to this live or anywhere around the time of this recording, it's so weird at the moment. Portugal was first on the green list here in the UK, which meant it was a safe place to go and you didn't have to go through too many jump over too many hurdles, travel hurdles in order to get here. And then it was placed on the amber list, which means all sorts of things like quarantine, etc. So I decided that instead of coming back from Portugal and having just a very short weekend here and then having to do all this quarantine, I decided I'm going to stay. So I'm here, I'm working from here. I've got a super impressive setup and super exciting to be joining you from somewhere in Europe, somewhere else, somewhere beautiful, somewhere warm, lovely food, and with great facilities. So that's just a bit of context to today's live. So the subject today then is, what is confidence? And it is a topic I've wanted to address. Like, we talk about confidence a lot. It comes up in almost all of my recordings and my content, because what is it about imposter syndrome that we all find so hard, that we all struggle with? It's the fact that we don't feel confident enough to do the thing that we want to do, or we need to do, or to achieve the goal that we're aspiring to achieve. So it's often in your mind, it used to be in my mind, I saw confidence as the opposite of having imposter syndrome. It was the holy grail. It was the thing I always sought the secret to, right? If only I could have more confidence, feel more confident, everything would be okay. Well, I don't think we've spent enough time really thinking about and talking about what confidence is. What is this thing that we're so hungry for, so desperate for, that we crave so much? And is it really either what it's cracked up to be, and is it really what we need in order to succeed? So that's what I'm going to be talking about, the questions I'm going to be answering in today's session. So where do I want to start? I want to start actually with the main message that I want you to take away from today. And that is, you really do not need confidence to win. You don't need confidence to succeed. You don't need confidence to grow, to achieve your goals, to fulfill your potential. What I actually want to say is confidence is almost irrelevant to all of that. And if you take nothing else away from today's session, I want you to take the message that you should, just forget about confidence altogether. Just forget about it. Treat it as something that's out there that will come to you at some point. It will take care of itself. There are so many other things that you need and must be focusing on instead, and that are going to create the results that you want to create in your life. So that's my message. Forget about confidence and focus on, and this is going to be the key, what I want you to do instead, Focus on just showing up as who you are. Now, if you listen to any of my previous lives, you know that this is something I talk about a lot, the showing up as who you are. I guess, and I feel the need also to explain that. It's one of those expressions I use. And I know some of you will be thinking, okay, but what does that actually mean? And I'm so comfortable with that expression. I know exactly what that means and what it requires of me to show up as I am, that sometimes I forget to unpick that, unravel that, and explain that to you. So I'm also going to do that for you in today's session. So the message, forget about confidence. All you need to worry about is showing up as who you are. So over the next, what will it be? Hopefully about 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how excited and carried away that I get. Here's what I'm going to share with you today. First of all, I'm going to really just share a little bit more about my relationship with confidence, my story, my journey in relation to confidence, in a way to show you really where the opportunity for progress lies, how I've broken away from this heavy need and dependency and wish and desire and craving for something that actually I can't just go and get. Confidence isn't something that I can kind of be given a secret ingredient to and I can just go and get it for myself. So my journey from thinking it was something out there I could go and get if only I could find it, to thinking I really don't need it at all. And if it's there, how wonderful, but it's not what is deciding the results that I get in my life. It's not what's deciding how I feel delivering this content to you, helping you to change your life, your experiences of yourself and what you can achieve. I really don't hanker after confidence at all. And I want that to be the same for you. It's so empowering. So I'll share a bit of my story with confidence, and then I'm going to talk about the common mistakes that, I used to make as well. And I'm sure so many, perhaps you, are making still when it comes to the way you think about confidence. And then in the final part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through what I want you to do instead. The belief and the thoughts I want you to have when you're in those situations where you experience self-doubt, you're feeling imposter syndrome, and you're wishing you were more confident. I'm going to tell you where you want your brain, your thoughts, and your actions to go instead of looking and wishing you had confidence. How does that sound? Hopefully that's all sounding great. So my relationship with confidence then, I have to say that, like you, perhaps I felt heavily dependent on confidence for most of my life, actually. And when I say dependent on confidence, what I mean is constantly feeling the absence of it. So suffering from imposter syndrome, that feeling that I'm a fraud, that I don't deserve the success that I have, or wherever I am, I don't deserve to be there, thinking it's all down to luck, and having that constant fear of being exposed. That's a feeling that sort of followed me around, and it felt like I was haunted by it for actually, pretty much all of my childhood, but most of my adulthood, actually, until sort of 6-7 years ago, when I had my great big imposter syndrome epiphany, and the one that I am sharing for you through the work that I do. So it was always, my relationship with confidence was always about how it was missing. Where could I get it? Can somebody tell me the secret? And unless and until I have confidence, I can't. Actually, there's two things. Only once I had confidence, this is what I used to believe, only if I have confidence can I have the success that I'm looking for. Can I achieve that goal? And also, only if I have confidence can I stop this horrible feeling of self-doubt and of being afraid of failure and afraid of exposure. It was almost as if I held confidence up as this holy grail that would solve all of my problems. That could be socially, it could be professionally, it could be in any area, whatever. It was the thing, if only I could find it. And what happened, as long as I saw confidence as this thing I needed before I could achieve my goals, fulfill my potential, feel comfortable in any environment, with that always in my mind, it meant I had to work, labor really hard to try and strive to succeed in spite of it. Like feeling really empty, feeling really inadequate, feeling really fearful and stressed. And I tried to kind of overwork and overcompensate for my lack of confidence, which I felt like was something really deficient in me. What did that mean? It meant constantly seeking perfection, like that perfectionism, which probably rings a bell with you, right? Feeling, oh, it's not good enough. I need to go back to it. I need to make it better. And that sense of huge insecurity and fear over whether what you're producing is good enough, checking it 100 times. What else did this dependence on confidence or belief that I wasn't enough without confidence, what did that also create? Well, it created that constant action, apart from being a perfectionist, but other action from a position of fear. I tried to act my way out of it. I tried to fake it till I made it, and sort of try to suppress all my emotions and just kind of focus on just getting stuff done. So overworking, being a perfectionist, overworking, and then just not really being able to manage the negative emotion that I would experience whenever I had to do that. So let's say, for example, I had to deliver a presentation or I had to lead a project, right? In my lawyer days, when I'd be leading a project, having to meet hard deadlines and produce documents in short space of time and be in negotiations with the other side, I would be suffering so much inside, the stress and anxiety from feeling I don't have the confidence to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a fraud. Absolutely exhausting and a horrible place to be, and not where I want you to be. You may have felt that experience. It may be really common to you right now. And I'm here to tell you that that doesn't have to be your experience going forward. You can actually decide to change that for yourself right now. And I'm here to help you do that, because that's what happened to me, right? At a certain point when I had what I like to call my imposter syndrome crisis, and I talk about that all the time, I recognized that actually I didn't need to get rid of my imposter syndrome and find this confidence in order to feel that I could go on and achieve my goals. I discovered through the use of my imposter speech that actually it wasn't confidence that I needed. If I didn't have confidence, that didn't matter. What I did have, and what turned out to be more than enough, was courage. I had resilience. I had the motivation, like the knowing what I wanted to achieve and the reasons behind that, the drive. I had the experiences of having been through a lot and having to get through and pick myself up again or get myself back on track. So I had resilience. I also had resourcefulness, knowing from my past experiences, from the work I'd done on my imposter speech, which is designed to bring all of this stuff up. I knew I was a resourceful person. I could be creative if I needed to be creative. I could be flexible if I needed to be flexible. I could be hardworking when I needed to be hardworking, and I could figure it out when I didn't have the answer. And I could be committed, right? I knew, because of the work from my imposter speech, I know I have the evidence front of mind that if I decide to do something, that I can commit myself 100% to producing that result and just keep going. So all of those resources, those qualities, which are basically emotions, right? So courage is like an emotion. Motivation is an emotion. Feeling committed, it's an emotion, a way of feeling resourceful, feeling resilient. If I could access those feelings and emotions, confidence became completely irrelevant. And when I discovered that, it changed everything. It meant that whatever situation I was in, all I needed to do was to be able to access those other emotions. I want you to think about that for a minute. I want you to think about a particular objective that you have, a goal you have, or something that is on your horizon, perhaps on your plate right now, that you might be struggling with, feeling all sorts of anxiety and worry and fear around, wishing you had the confidence to do. I want you to think about, if we took away your need to feel confident in order to do that task or do that job, and all you decided to do when you woke up tomorrow morning was to be courageous, to take a courageous step. All you needed to do was to find the reason, the motivation to take that step. or to do that bit of work? What if all you needed to do was think about how resilient you are, and the fact that actually if I just approach this knowing that I can get through it, knowing that whatever happens, I'm going to be okay, which is what resilience is. If you could show up tomorrow thinking, I'm resourceful, that means I can work it out. I can find the resources that I need. And if you show up tomorrow to your task thinking, you know what, I'm committed to seeing this through. I'm committed to doing the work until I get the result I want. I wonder, and I want you to think about if you show up as all of those things, because that's what showing up as you are actually is, because you are all of those things. I've talked about how you're already all of those things. You've got the evidence that proves you are already all of those things. And the imposter speech is designed to remind you of that. If you don't know all of that stuff, it's also designed, the process of creating it is designed to reveal that to you. So if you have all of that and you bring that attitude, those emotions, that approach to the next task that you have to do, how different it feels, how much more ready you are to take it on and to give it your best shot and to see that through to the result you're trying to create. You don't need confidence. You'll be too busy bringing all of the other much more useful actually emotions to the task, and that's what's going to produce your result. So that, because I'm still talking about sort of my journey with imposter syndrome and with confidence, that was a massive epiphany for me to realize confidence was irrelevant. All I needed were those emotions. I needed to show up as I am, as all of those things, and to know and believe and have the evidence for when my brain wants to doubt me that I'm courageous, I'm resilient, I'm resourceful, I'm motivated, I'm committed. If I can do that each time, it was unbelievable then what I was able to go on and achieve. I was no longer hiding behind the excuse or the lack of having confidence and using that as a reason to not take that next step, to not seize opportunities. Suddenly I had all of this, all of the rest, everything that I am, rather than worrying about, oh, what am I doing and am I doing it right? All I had to worry about was who I was being in any particular moment. And that is what created unbelievable results for me. And that's what I want so much for you. So before I talk about, the mistakes and then really what I want you to go on and do as a result of this session, I want to talk about imposter syndrome and the fact that I still have it. So there's two elements to this. First of all, there's the showing up as who I am, which I've just described and talked about what that is, all those emotions, all those resources. What happens when you repeatedly do that is that thing called confidence that I've told you to forget all about, it starts to creep in. It's almost like my brain has just done a real random, had a really random idea of an analogy. It's almost like if you are, maybe it's because I've got romance in my mind and I've had my wedding anniversary. It's almost as if you are, let's say you are really attracted to someone. Let's say you're single, you're attracted to someone and you're going after them, you wish, and you really want to sort of chase after them, and your over enthusiasm, almost your desperation to have that person, it means that how you come across is kind of needy and desperate, maybe a bit stalky, all of the things that are completely off-putting. So that person that you are trying to attract is actually moves further and further away from you because of how needy and graspy you are, and the fact that you need and are so desperate to have them in your life, or have them be your partner. And just hang on, bear with me. It's like a strange relationship metaphor. Whereas if you are able to just say, do you know what, I'm going to just let go of my need for that person, right? As if you need to let go of your need for confidence, and you just take care of being yourself, being your confident self, your best self. I didn't mean to say confident self, your best self, meaning yourself who is can be funny, but like you at your best when you're relaxed, and that allows your full personality to come through, that is so much more attractive to the other person. And the chances are much higher that person will then notice you and come towards you and be drawn to you, right? And it's the same thing with confidence. You have to write in and tell me what you think of this metaphor. It's a little bit wild, a little bit off. It might be because I've had a lot of heat today. It's very sunny. But actually, it's really relevant, because I want you to think of confidence as something that if you're too needy, you're too desperate for, you can't feel like you can go on unless you have it. You don't feel that you're complete until it's yours, then it's just going to be more and more elusive. It's going to move further away. Whereas if you play a little bit harder to get with confidence, you worry about actually just showing up as courageous, as committed, as motivated, as resourceful, as resilient. You worry about that stuff. You take care of yourself, showing up as who you are. That's when suddenly, guess what? When you're not looking, when you least expect it, confidence comes knocking. It suddenly starts to show up, starts to appear. And this has been my experience. I stopped worrying about trying to be confident. I was all of those things, showing up as who I am. And guess what? My confidence has grown exponentially since I have started doing that. I can't tell you how much of a difference it's made since I stopped seeking confidence as a thing that I need. I stopped needing it in order to achieve and move forward. I hope you like that metaphor. So what does that mean? It means imposter syndrome, it doesn't go away. I've talked about that before. I did, I think, a couple of weeks ago, a live where I talked about how it's possible to have imposter syndrome and be confident at the same time. And what's beautiful about the imposter speech and about all that you need in order to succeed and achieve whatever you want, right? To create whatever results, and I mean this sincerely, all that you need in order to create those kind of results for yourself in your life, you don't need the confidence. You just need to know how to turn your imposter syndrome into your strength. And you do that by using your imposter speech. That is all that it takes. And that means it's okay that you still suffer from imposter syndrome. You stop seeing that as a problem. Remember, I'm saying to you, it's not a problem that you need to fix. Your imposter syndrome becomes just the puzzle that every time a challenge comes up, every time an opportunity that's a bit of a stretch, every time you feel like you're out of depth, you move up a level, you start to feel those things of fraud. Yeah, all it is, when you feel those emotions of I'm a fraud, or just feeling a little bit insecure that you don't belong there, all you need is to answer the puzzle, solve the puzzle of who you are. Yeah, and I keep coming back and I keep repeating it, because who you are is all of those things, all of those qualities, the courage, the motivation, the resourcefulness, the resilience, the commitment, all of those things that you have so much evidence of in your life. And your only job actually is to find that evidence and have it accessible, have that absolute 100% belief in yourself as that person. If you are able to access that at any given time, that's what makes you completely unstoppable. Super exciting. I love this work. Let's talk about then briefly the 3 mistakes that you might be making, common mistakes that people make when it comes to thinking about confidence. Mistake number 1, I've kind of touched on. It's thinking you need confidence first before you can take that next step. Apply for that job. Ask for the raise. Yeah, do this really well. If only I was confident. Yeah, you don't need confidence first. You don't need confidence at all. I want you to, another analogy is thinking about confidence because it's like the reward, because it's the outcome rather than because confidence kind of happens by itself, and your job is to worry about all of the things that you need to put into place or start doing and using, and how you show up, that then as a byproduct produces confidence. Confidence is just out there. It's a bit like when you're baking a cake, right? So if you decide, let's say you want to make a cake today, and what you're not going to do is just say, I want to make a cake. Where's the cake? Oh, if only I had a cake. And sit there going, oh, I really need a cake. That makes no sense. What you would do is you think about, well, what are the ingredients that I need to make a cake? So in this analogy, confidence is like your cake. Yeah, you can't sit there going, I wish I had a cake. I really need a cake before I do anything, and just keep spinning round and round going, if only I had a cake, life would be so different. How can I get a cake, right? What you would do is say, right, in order to make a cake, I know I need flour. I know I need eggs. I know I need butter. Yeah, whatever cake you want to make, you know that all you need to do is find the ingredients. You put those ingredients together. You take action with those ingredients. Yeah, you follow the steps. And what comes out at the end? The end product is the cake. Having fun with my metaphors today. That's how I want you to approach confidence. You don't need confidence first. To be wishing you had confidence first is crazy, because it's like wishing you had a cake and sitting there waiting to have a cake before you've actually made the cake. Okay? So instead of wishing you had confidence, what I want you to do is take your ingredients, and those ingredients, it will come as no surprise to you, are exactly the ingredients, the things that make up who you are. When I talk about showing up as who you are, the ingredients for confidence are your courage, your motivation, your resourcefulness, your resilience, your commitment. Those are the ingredients. You get those ingredients through your imposter speech, okay? When you take those ingredients and you put them to work at the next task you're doing, at the next step you take, the next time you're feeling like your imposter syndrome has been triggered, take those ingredients, yeah? Take action from the place of those ingredients, of those emotions. All you need to do is follow the process of bringing those ingredients together, okay? Taking action from there, and what you will produce is the cake. That's what will come out of it at the end. Don't go after the cake too soon. Don't go after confidence too soon. Don't worry about that bit. Just get the first steps, get the building blocks in there first of all. Get your ingredients together, and the rest, the cake, the confidence will take care of itself, the final result. I'm making myself laugh today. Okay, what else? The second mistake is, this is a super interesting one. So negative emotion. I'm going to talk a lot more about negative emotion in the coming weeks. So one of the reasons why we crave confidence so much is that feeling that if I felt confident, then I wouldn't feel so rubbish. Yeah. If I had confidence, I wouldn't be afraid. I wouldn't feel anxious. I wouldn't feel stressed. I wouldn't feel afraid of failing. I wouldn't have to worry about all of this. So what we want is to be able to avoid all of that negative emotion. And I get it. It feels pretty rubbish. And it's taken me a long time to understand this, but now I do. It's so freeing. Negative emotion is okay. It's actually okay to feel afraid, to feel anxious, to feel a little bit stressed. It's okay. And I think if you can allow yourself and practice just being in the reality of feeling a little bit nervous or afraid of something. I mean, literally, so I'm sitting on a stool here, just to feel and observe the feelings of fear and negative emotion in yourself, as if almost you are looking at it objectively. Be curious about it, be interested about those feelings, but don't fight them. Because a really important part of this work is the acceptance that there will be times when you are going to feel fearful. There'll be times when you are going to feel like a fraud. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to have that voice in your head. Okay? Nothing is wrong. You're not doing it wrong. You don't need to fix anything. You're not in the wrong place. It is part of the human experience to have negative emotion like that. And you can't just fix your negative emotion, make it go away and expect to keep growing and fulfilling your potential. It doesn't work like that, because whatever you resolve at this level is just going to come up again at the next level. So it makes no sense to try and get rid of and suppress feelings of fear and anxiety and a fear of being exposed and all of that stuff. what it makes sense is to learn how to process those emotions, to get good at when those emotions come up, knowing what to do with them, knowing not to make it mean that you're in the wrong place, that you're a bad person, that you've done it all wrong. It makes it so, it's so important that you learn that, oh, that's how my brain wants to react to this situation. That's how my body wants to feel in this situation. And have that healthy approach to going, oh, that's so interesting that this situation has triggered these feelings in me. Okay, they're not the most beautiful of feelings. They don't feel lovely, but I accept them because they're okay. Nothing's gone wrong. They're part of being human. And then as you go to the next level, it might be your next project, but it might be your next promotion. And all of those feelings come back again. The fear, the imposter syndrome voice, you are going to know, you'll be used to them. They're not going to throw you off track. You'll be like, oh, there's my negative emotion again. Oh, how interesting. I'm feeling really anxious in this situation. So it's a really important lesson I want you to take, message I want you to take away from today. Negative emotion is not bad emotion. Your only job is not to get rid of it. It's to learn to experience that emotion and move on regardless. Yeah. Recognize it, acknowledge it in yourself, but then not make it mean something's wrong, but be ready to take the next step so that you can show up, guess, as who you are. So feel all of that, but still be able to tap into your courage, your motivation, your resilience, your resourcefulness, your commitment, and show up from the energy of those emotions in and bring that to whatever action that you're taking. So don't worry about negative emotion. Your job is to learn to accept it, recognize it for what it is, but then know what to do next when it appears. Third, I'm going to peer into the camera now because I'm struggling to read my notes are too far away. Yeah, it's again coming back to the cake metaphor, this idea of confidence being something that you can just pick off the shelf. It's not. I don't even want to talk about confidence actually almost after this session. I want you to just forget about it. And I want you, the next time you're faced with a challenge, to just say, right, instead of, oh, I wish I had the confidence, I don't feel confident, I want you to say, right, where can I find my courage in this situation? What do I need in this situation? Do I need to be motivated? Do I need to be resilient? Do I need to be resourceful? So actually just expanding your range of emotional starting points, really. Yeah. So whatever action you're taking, I want your starting point in taking that action to be, right, what's my emotion in this situation? Don't worry about confidence. Don't need it. My emotion, the state I want to be in, the person I need to be to do this task is the courageous me, the motivated me, the resilient me, the resourceful me, the committed me. Is this all starting to really sink in? I keep repeating it on purpose because I want it to, I want to help you to change those neural pathways in your brain that are used to saying, oh, I wish I was more confident. Oh, these negative feelings are horrible. I wish my imposter syndrome would go away. If only. I want to change that well-trodden path of thought, like thinking patterns in your brain, and change it, get you to switch into, oh, how interesting. I'm feeling anxious. I can feel my imposter syndrome being triggered in this situation. That's okay. This is part of my process. It's totally normal. Right. Who do I need to be in this situation to take action? How can I show up here as who I am? I'm going to give you an example before I close. So I have got an event coming up on Wednesday. It's an imposter syndrome event. I've done this event so many times. And guess what? Of course, my imposter syndrome is triggered. I can feel it. I'm 2 days away. I can feel it starting to kind of swirl in my tummy. And I can feel the voices of doubt that are kind of knocking on the door of my mind and whispering in my ear to kind of suggest, oh, this time you're going to be found out. Yeah, this time, the 100 and something time you've done a talk on imposter syndrome. Now, this time you're definitely going to be found out. This is how my imposter syndrome still works. And I'm literally processing that as I've learned and taught myself to do. I'm acknowledging the anxiety and the fear, I'm telling myself that's okay, that it doesn't mean I'm in the wrong place or I'm doing something wrong or I'm not fitting the job. It just is part of my process. And then I'm being really intentional about where I go next. Literally, I'm asking myself, right, so what does the courageous me do next? What's the step that the motivated me does next? What does the resourceful me do? Right, I'm going to do, start thinking about, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to have in place? It's like I stop thinking and stop like worrying and being in my head, and I start acting. And that's the beautiful thing about focusing on these resources that you have in you. It's the beautiful thing about showing up as who you are. It takes you out of your head of, oh, what do I need to do? And it puts you into who you need to be, so you can then move on and start doing stuff. I hope that is making sense for you today and that you are hearing this message loud and clear. Don't worry about confidence. You do not need confidence in order to succeed, in order to win, in order to get that promotion, in order to go into your next meeting to make that presentation. You don't need confidence. And actually, confidence won't serve you in that situation. What will serve you is being the person that you are, is being courageous and taking those steps, being committed and doing the work, finding out, trying the different work, the different solutions that you might need in order to show up. It's being motivated, resourceful, and resilient. For the 100th time, showing up as who you are. Make that your only priority. And confidence, it will take care of itself. I'm Caroline Flanagan. Thank you so much for your attention, your time today, for listening to me. If you have not already, please come on over to Facebook. Join my Imposter Syndrome, Imposter Speech Facebook group and the growing community inside of there who are becoming my community of imposters. Positive imposters, able to embrace their imposter syndrome, knowing how to turn their imposter syndrome into a strength so that they are showing up as who they are and creating results that you could not have imagined. That's what this work, that's what in having the imposter speech that helps you show up as who you are, that's what it does and that's what it creates. I'd love you to join us. If you are not on Facebook, do not worry. There's a second way in which you can have access to all this amazing content. That is by signing up to my newsletter. So if you go to my website, carolineflanagan.com/sign up, that will probably, I can't remember if that's the right link now. That will should give you a link to my newsletter. But actually, even if you go to the homepage, you'll see a banner there that says sign up to my newsletter. Sign up and you will receive tips and links to all the videos and all the content that I create every week, almost every week. That will get straight into your inbox, which lots of you tell me is so much more convenient than having to search on social media all of the time. Hope you enjoyed this. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Are you ready to renounce the need for confidence altogether? I have. I hope you will too. Bye for now. See you next time.